front of you, though. Like you see it. It's right there.
No, you don't see it, Tony. You don't see it from airplanes. You can't see it from 23 floors up.
You can see
You're
it
a
from
joke.
sitting on a beach, dude.
You're a joke.
Dude,
You can see
there
it
are
from
some
sitting on a
people that
beach.
will literally. There are scientists that will laugh at you right now, dude, for what you just
No,
said.
there's not. There's not a scientist that would laugh at me at all.
I'm telling you, dude. It's
Not a real
'cause-
scientist.
Okay. What
Okay,
about your
let me
favorite
tell you one
scientific?
thing real quick.
What about your
Let
favorite
me say one
scientific
thing.
communicator?
Let me say one thing. Okay, so if the world was flat, I think like every year, like okay, there'd be a day out of the year where you'd have Eiffel Tower Day, to where the sun would rise up right where the Eiffel Tower is, and you could see it from all over like that angle. You know,
Bro,
I mean,
get
it
into
just
flat
rises
Earth
up.
like last week,
But hey,
Tony?
now that you brought up the Eiffel Tower, do you believe that flat earthers should be able to see the Eiffel Tower from Boston, Massachusetts?
Yeah, that's what he
Yes,
just said.
if you thought it was flat, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a
Unbelievable.
question about that.
This is I can't, dude. I'm gonna mute, dude. I can't, dude.
I have a
You
question
asked
about
me a
that.
question.
If I can
You
see
said-
the stars on the eastern horizon from New York,
Yes.
I'm standing on a pier, looking out over the water, and I see the stars at the far eastern horizon.
Yeah.
Which is further away from me, the stars or the Eiffel Tower?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
The stars.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so if I can see the stars, then why can't I see the Eiffel Tower?
It's very
Yeah.
easy. It's very easy. So
Wonder why.
the same thing with why you can see the sun or the moon, because they're higher. Right? It has to do with the
No.
angle. Yes, it has to do with the angle.
So if they're right at the horizon, how are they higher?
So
For real.
as the angle
You're
to
gonna
the
see them on the
object, right,
horizon.
becomes more acute and compresses, it disappears. It starts to
Define
disappear
acute.
bottom up.
Hey,
So the
define
sun
acute
the
for
sun
me.
is so high up, and these stars are so high up that they don't get
Define-
obstructed as soon as the Eiffel Tower or the Great Pyramid of Giza or whatever.
So
Define the word acute, man. Define the word acute for me, please. What does acute mean?
So
Do you know what acute means?
yes, it's when the angle compresses
Below 90 degrees, right?
below 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Correct.
Below 90 degrees. So what does that have to do with the fucking seeing the moon on the horizon? Nothing.
Yeah, because you have to understand angular perspective, not just angular resolution, but angular perspective. Because, for example, there are sometimes the only way you can resolve an image that's been obscured by the the claimed physical horizon is either A, you rise up in elevation, giving you a better vantage point, and once you rise up, that acute angle widens up, becomes more obtuse, right, allowing you to resolve the image. Or two, you get closer to the object, doing the same thing. It
You're saying
increases the angle. The angle
you said more
perspective.
obtuse. You said more obtuse. So you're saying more than 90 degree. How does that come into what we're talking
Oh
about?
my goodness,
More than
dude.
90 degrees?
Why do you always have to catch me in a technicality? You understand what I'm
Because
saying,
you're
bro?
fucking
The
telling me what you're
the,
talking
the
about.
angle of perspective widens.
So I don't
Okay, bro.
understand. So if I see the moon or the stars on the horizon, and they're at 1 degree on my horizon, right? What is the theory as to why I can see them there? They're certainly at this. They're certainly on the horizon at a near
Come on.
zero elevation above the horizon, right?
Omnivore, bro. Omnivore. You understand that okay, for example, an object that's only 20 feet above the ground versus an object that could potentially be 3,000, 6,000, 10,000 miles up, right? That object, like the Eiffel Tower or the Great Pyramid of Giza, even though it's relatively big to us, right? Compared to the sun and the moon and the stars, dude, they're incomparable, right?
So how big do you think the moon is?
So the thing is, the Eiffel Tower is going to get obstructed far sooner than anything else in the sky, dude. Because it's closer to the ground.
So I don't agree with that.
Not incomparable.
So if how big do you think the moon is? You don't know, right?
Wait, what?
Incomparable. That's not even a
What
real
I'm trying to
word.
explain to you, bro, is that the things that are closer to the ground, right, are going to get obstructed sooner. That's it. Things that are higher aren't going to get obstructed as soon.
So that's a claim, but it's not. I mean, I'm surprised that it's a claim that you agree with. So the idea is that when I see the moon rising, right? I see the moon rising from bottom up, that's because it's close to the ground.
Well, in
Dude,
reality, the only
I'm not gonna
obtuse thing here,
entertain this conversation if you're just gonna play dumb. I know you're not that dumb.
I'm not. I'm not.
You're
I'm
just,
not.
right, you're just playing dumb right now.
I think you're. I think you're. The reason why I'm asking that question is I think your methodology doesn't bear out here. So when I see the moon rising, right, it's not, and I see it obstructed from the bottom up. In your view, it's not because it's close to the ground. It's because the distance to it is meeting some sort of
imaginary
limit, some sort of
that we don't know about.
well, some sort of limit of visual space, right? There's some sort of limit of visual space that makes the moon appear to rise.
Which isn't real. The
Well,
only obtuse thing here is fucking
Yeah.
their
So-
observations on the Earth. That's the
So
only obtuse real thing.
there seems to be an optical limit to how far we can see, even things that are infinitely far away.
So there's
We
an
see the
optical
moon and
limit.
the stars.
So there's an
And it
optical
happens
limit.
to. It just coincidentally happens to match the radius of the Earth.
No, it doesn't. No, that is claims. Sean's claim that is not. He doesn't actually support that.
Well, okay, this is one thing that supports it. Okay, so if I see the moon one night and I wait 24 hours, it rotates and goes right back to the same spot, a little bit off, but you can only do that. You can measure how big of an object you're sitting on by how it rotates, and that one thing object you're looking at is in the same spot the next day. A little bit off though, because it's we're orbiting and we're spinning around. I mean, it happens every fucking night. It's so easy. We rotate, and then you see the moon again the next night. It's a little bit off, and then the next night it's a little bit more off. I mean, you can measure how big the object you're standing on is 24 hours it takes to go back and see the moon again. That happens every fucking night. I
So
mean,
let me put it like this, Omnivore. Let's say that you were right underneath the sun at its subsolar point, literally 90 degrees perpendicular from the ground.
Yep.
You're right underneath the sun, and between you and this, dude, can I talk?
Well, it's not going to happen though. I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to happen.
Hold on, dude. This is a thought experiment. So we're right underneath the sun, right? We don't know how far the sun is, and then between you and the sun is a street light. The street light, let's say it's 20 feet or whatever the street lights are. As you walk away, which one do you expect to be obscured first? To reach the point where the street light's completely obscured. Street light, right?
I expect street light. Yeah.
That's one of the dumbest
same
things
thing
I've
with the
ever seen
Eiffel
in my life.
Tower, bro. Why would it be any different with the Eiffel Tower?
What the fuck? Okay, so the sun is directly above my head, and you're talking about some lights that are like right in front of me. How does that even correlate to what we're talking about?
Bro, it's not my fault that you're having trouble understanding what I'm saying, dude.
No, it's not my fault. You don't know what fucking angles are. I mean, you've completely devoided yourself from reality.
No, dude, I'm trying to convey my thoughts as best as I can, and for whatever reason, you're not being receptive, or you're willingly ignorant.
You're not doing a good job, though. That's the problem. You're not doing a good job at all,
bro. My 8-year-old son could understand this.
Yeah,
somehow you can't.
For real, your 8-year-old son could be like, the sun is 90 degrees above my head, and there's a light right in front of me. When is the light going to fucking disappear? What kind of question is that?
So as you move away from the street light, what happens to the street light? It starts to decrease,
what happens to the
right?
sun? That's
the angle, the angular perspective.
Question, Tony.
Hold on, bro. The angular perspective starts to decrease or increase, more like increase or decrease, depending how you look at it, right? So as it becomes more acute, the street light, right, versus the sun's angular perspective. The street light's going to get to the point where it's going to completely get obscured by the horizon. It's going to disappear. The sun will still be visible. I don't know. Is that better?
It's over our head.
Why is the sun still visible?
Our head the whole time. Let's say, I'll give you this. Okay, so the sun's over my head, 90 degrees. I'm on the equator, which is the only place in the fucking world that you can actually have the sun over your head. You can have it in Maui. Lahaina Noon. It's the only place that you can actually be there unless you're on a boat and the sun's actually above your head.
No, it's not.
perfectly 90. And then there's a light in front of me. How far do I have to go back until that light disappears? About 3, 4, 5, 6 miles, probably. I say 6 miles. And then it starts getting
And
closer to the horizon because that light will start dropping down to the horizon. The further I go back, that light will drop down closer to the horizon
right,
because I'm going over a
exactly,
sphere.
dude. Right. So regardless of the sphere, this happens even on a planar Earth, and they've
No,
done simulations. I can show you a simulation, bro, a computer simulation where they
yes.
replicated this,
Show it
and
to
what
me then.
happens, right? The object
Bullshit.
still
I call bullshit.
the object
I
becomes
call
more
bullshit.
acute as
You
you move
can't
away. Dude, stop
stop
talking.
talking.
As you
Show me
move
the fucking
away,
thing.
as
You
you
can't.
move away the angular perspective, right? What happens to the angular perspective? It becomes
It's going
acute.
to pinch down. It's not going to go. It's not going to drop. It's
So
going to
from
pinch down. So the
right,
Earth
so
and the light will pinch together equally. But when you go over a sphere, the light will drop further than the fucking ground. When you go back, it's just going
so
to drop.
So hold on a second. So it goes from 90 and it starts to decrease to 80 degrees, 70 degrees, 50, 25 until you get to 5
Wait.
degrees. And then around
What's doing
5
that?
degrees, right, it starts to drop down to the point where you basically can't even see it anymore. I get
What is
it
dropping?
that there's other factors involved here. Why things
What's
completely
dropping?
disappear. Like
What's dropping?
atmospheric, huh?
You said
The
something's
objects.
dropped from
Yeah, the
92.
objects.
Yeah,
From
but
90
we're not
degrees to
looking at
0
objects
degrees.
that's 90 degrees above my
0
head.
degrees would be the vanishing point.
0 degree would be the horizon.
Right, the vanishing point.
Okay. The vanishing
From
point, the
9
horizon.
so the objects drop from 90 to 0 degrees to the point they disappear.
No, it doesn't. Never drops from 90 to 0.
It's just parallax, bro.
Bro, I
You
don't know,
deny
dude. I can't.
parallax?
Somebody else can. I'm
Oh, you
sorry,
know,
guys. I'm not gonna entertain
from
this mess,
90
dude. I'm
to
sorry,
0?
guys.
I mean,
Somebody
you're
else can
talking about
take
the
over, dude.
sun
Now, Lion, you're doing a good
It's
job. You're doing a good
parallax,
job.
Tony.
I'm trying not to
They're
lose my
just
temper, dude. Go ahead.
You
no, you're
lose
doing
your
a good
temper.
job. There's a lot of
Who
shucking
cares?
and jiving going on, but that is what everything Lion said is pretty well understood. It's only a couple of people
Bullshit.
denying that.
That's bullshit. Straight up bullshit. I mean, there's more people that
You
know
would
that
have
that's
to say
bullshit.
that as a glober,
Tony,
though.
You know?
That's
you
Lion. You've got to
don't
understand
understand
that
it.
if they
Are you trying
concede
to
to
tell me
that,
that
they
more
lose their
people will believe
geometric
Lion than
horizon,
me?
Lion. So you've got to understand you're going to get heat because you're taking a geometric horizon away from them, and that's all they have.
Talked about something from 90 degrees disappearing as I go back. That doesn't even make sense. That does not
You
even
said
make
that,
sense.
Tony. You're the one who
He
brought the
said
90
90
degrees up.
degrees going
All
down
right?
to, he said an acute angle, 90 degrees going down to the horizon. That's what he just fucking said.
Tony, if you're sitting on a couch and you have something, your finger in front of the TV lined up perfectly with it, and then you
Yes.
keep it there, but you back your head up, your finger's going to drop faster than the TV. It's just parallax. So
No, it
closer
won't not
things
drop at
will
all.
go down faster than farther
No,
things. That's why
are
we
you trying
cannot
to tell me
see
that when you point
exactly.
something, you point your
I'm
finger at
talking.
something and you
I'm
point up,
talking,
it
Tony.
drops?
Tony,
It
I'm
doesn't drop.
talking. Yeah, it
It
does.
doesn't drop.
Do it. Do
No, it does
literally do
not.
it right now, Tony.
Take a
Do it
picture
right
of.
now.
You can do it then. Go in your house right now.
No,
Take a
you
picture of
do
you
it right
pointing a
now
finger
so
at
you
something
can
and it
see it.
drops.
Hang on. If we're gonna have a
And it's not going to
conversation, we
happen.
can't be don't talk over me. We can't be talking over people. All right, go ahead.
I know. That's when someone's like actually telling truth and the other person's fucking lying.
Tony,
We
you
also
can
need
do it
to
right
avoid
now.
the insults.
Everybody
So
here can do it right now.
continue.
Everyone
Okay,
can
okay.
do it right now,
Everyone
Tony.
should do it then. Let's go. Like he
Yeah.
said, go in front of your TV, point your finger at the TV, and walk backwards and see it drop.
TV
Yeah,
has to
right.
be up. TV has to be above you, Tony. But yes, it
It will
clearly
never
does.
drop. No, it does not.
You don't understand reality, bro.
Yes, I do. It's so simple.
No, you
It's
don't.
fucking. We're like. It's so
It
fucking.
apparently drops in your
Seriously.
view. It doesn't
Then do
actually
it. Then
drop, Tony. I'm
take
not an idiot.
take a video of you and your finger dropping. Do it right
Dude,
now. It should be easy. You have a TV, right? You have a TV. Do it.
Tony.
You can't do it because it can't happen. It's
Tony,
not
you
something
Okay,
that
can
happens
you're
literally
going,
do
overnight.
it right
you're
now.
moving further,
You're
but
just
have
being
you seen like
stupid.
the train track and how it meets with the sky? Like the sky goes down, the horizon, the ground goes up, and they meet at the converging point?
Yes, but if you had a telescope, you could focus in, and that would never disappear if it was flat.
Do
What?
But
you
it
have
does
a video?
disappear.
Well, if it never disappears, then wouldn't it be?
How about
I'm a little
this?
confused. Wouldn't it be flat
You
if it
have
never disappeared?
Okay, no, here you have a railroad track. Okay, it's going out in the distance, and the moon just so happens to be setting right at the tracks, right in the middle of the tracks. Those two forks, right in the middle of it. Okay, and you go backwards. What's going to happen?
Can you repeat the question? I wasn't paying attention.
So
Sorry.
the moon is setting right on the tracks. You have two tracks. They're going in the distance. Okay, and you have a
Which
telescope. So you're focusing in on the tracks, and you're starting to rise the telescope up to the moon. You're not looking at the moon right away. You're looking at your feet in the telescope, and you start rising up. Okay,
mhm.
you're rising up with a good telescope. Okay, it's kind
Like
of
in a hot
blurry
air
and shit.
balloon or
You know, it
something?
starts getting a little more focused as you get higher and higher because the distance is getting better, and then you see the moon. Do you see anything like? Because you know, like there's railroad tracks. In between those railroad tracks, there has to be trees or something. But all of a sudden, there's no trees because it's a fucking goddamn sphere. And there's a hump.
It's hilarious that
No,
you
you
don't
don't
understand that
understand
you're
what I'm saying.
refuting your own
I
point right now.
Stupid as fuck, dude. God, you guys
Not
need to
making
fight.
very good points, Tony. You're not articulating yourself very well here.
Yeah,
Okay, but you
I
know what I'm
know I'm
saying.
not.
Remember,
I'm
just
just trying to
stop
figure
with
out what he's
the
trying to
Tony.
say.
Stop with the insults and the interrupting. If you want to make points, go for it, man. Just, you don't need to do any of that other
My
stuff.
bad. You're right. You're right. My bad. I don't mean to. Like, I'm not really. Like, I had a bad morning, guys. First off, you know what? Let me park real quick. I'm doing DoorDash right now. Let me just say this shit. I don't have any animosity against anyone. It's just I had a bad. You know those days. Okay, let me just change the subject. You know those days where like the next day is going to be different from the rest of your life. You know, you have that one day where like, wow, fucking everything's shifting right now. That happened last night about 8 hours ago. To where like I'm gonna be like it's just a different fucking life I'm gonna have today.
I hope your day gets better.
I hope things
You
work
need to know
itself
you're
out,
being
brother.
kind of a jerk.
Yeah, no, my bad. I mean, it's my fault. I shouldn't come in here with such animosity. I mean, you guys are all cool. I love all you guys. I'm not a bad person. I'm just really pissed off about shit right now. So I'm trying to vent in a way I don't get the cops called. Because last night, like, okay,
Now
yeah,
you know
because
how
I
I
had
feel,
12
dude.
hours ago, I had
Listen,
5
I'm
cops
not trying to lose
calling.
my temper either, dude. And I get
Yeah,
to, I lose my temper almost every day on here at
no,
this
dude, I
point.
like you, man. You're cool. I like when you talk. Like I didn't mean to cause you any animosity. I'm sorry completely. I should have just shut up and just listened to you guys talk.
Now I
I
respect
just
you,
got
bro.
the drama.
That's awesome, dude. I like to hear that, dude. That's
Yeah,
cool,
no,
man.
I love all you guys. You guys
Respect,
are all
Tony.
cool as fuck. You know,
Yeah,
I just got
respect
some
to you for
drama.
that.
If anyone's near Nashville, Tennessee, and needs a roommate,
Sorry that happened,
nah,
man.
yeah, it's just crazy shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought this shit drama to you guys, but the world is a globe, but it's fun.
Ah,
I
you sound
think
like my
their
brother, dude.
position is that if it was a topographical plane, you'd expect the same thing. You can only see so far. Start to lose resolution at a distance.
Yeah, but if you could see the moon on the horizon, you could see anything between the moon and the horizon. Between the moon and you, you'd be able to see it. So there should be a day out of the year that would be the Eiffel Tower day, to where the Eiffel Tower is in between the moon and you. It would be called Eiffel Tower Day. You'd sit there and the moon would rise and you see the Eiffel Tower as a silhouette. That doesn't happen.
Do you agree
Why do
that
you
on a
think you would
globe
see
that your
forever?
vision's limited by distance too?
But you see the moon though.
That well, do you agree that on a globe your vision is limited by distance?
You see the moon though.
I feel
You
like
see the moon.
you're
It doesn't
avoiding the
matter whether you see
question.
the moon.
So why is it doesn't matter if you see the moon, but you're looking at the moon? I mean, you
I feel
see
like
the
You
I
don't
moon.
can't
know the
argue
You
with
know
this
distance.
the
guy,
You
moon's
don't
man.
know the
further than the
distance of
Eiffel
the moon.
Tower.
No. But answer the question though. You do know that the atmosphere, like water, has a thickness to it, and the further you try to see, the thicker the atmosphere becomes. You are aware
Okay,
of that,
so
right?
yeah, yes. So give me a picture. Take a picture of when the moon is rising right up when it's like half above the horizon and half under. 50% shot of it. You have half the moon. Give me a distorted picture of that. It doesn't happen. It's a crisp picture of the moon at the horizon. How does that happen in your world?
All at the same distance away.
Yeah, but there's stuff in between the moon and you. That's what I'm
Hey,
saying. There's
Tony,
stuff
have
in
you heard
between the
about
moon and
Tony,
you.
I can't argue with you now, man. I just feel bad.
have you heard
Listen,
about
I
the
feel bad too.
magnification?
I feel
So I
way
was
bad.
looking up like what are some real forms of refraction like that are acknowledged? And one of them is like the magnification effect, like how like the sun looks bigger at the horizon. And I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it.
Just give me a picture of the moon being distorted at the horizon. And if you guys could do that, you
No,
might
it's
have
not
a fucking
distorted.
conversation.
Well, it's distorted, but it's all distorted. So
The
it's just going to
moon,
look like a sphere of different sizes.
the moon is crisp at the horizon. How is the moon crisp at the horizon? You can
Because
see it right up. You can see all the fucking craters and everything as
I,
it
I,
rises.
I mean, I can. The thing is, bro, the moon has a certain spectrum of light compared to the sun,
Oh, fucking
and
Christ, it's massive.
it's a more limited spectrum, and the spectrum that it has is less prone to refraction. So the sun, you got the full spectrum of light hold on, dude. The sun, you have this full spectrum of light to contend with, and because of that, you're gonna see a lot more distortion. Plus,
What's illuminating?
things
What's
are colder at
illuminating
night.
the
Things are
moon?
colder at night,
What's illuminating the moon? No, it's not colder at night.
and there's less evaporation. Yes, there's a ton of reasons why, dude. You got less evaporation, less humidity,
Evaporation is
colder,
thermal
more
evaporation.
limited spectrum of
Hang on,
light.
you guys are talking through each other. Let's go one at a time. Lion, you were talking first. You can finish your point.
I'm
Then
done,
Tony,
dude.
you can go.
Tony
It was
just
my fault. That was my fault. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. My
I
bad.
tried answering your question, bro, and then as soon as I go to answer, I get 2 words and you start clipping.
I know. I'm sorry. Go for it. I'm sorry.
Nah, I already. I don't want to repeat myself. I already said it.
So I'll say something. So when the moon is right, okay. So everyone in here, at least, has everyone. Well, okay. So I used to do mushrooms, and I would listen to the Doors, "Waiting for the Sun." You guys know that song? And I would watch the fucking moon come up and right on the just come up, you know, and you see it rising up. It's not distorted or anything. It's like right there on the horizon, and you zoom in on it with a telescope or whatever. It's fucking clear, crisp. Why can't we see everything between me and the moon? You should be able to see if it's a flat
Because,
plane.
Tony,
You should be able to see everything in between me and the moon.
I
there's
think it's
nothing
kind of
in
like the
between
bottom of
you and the moon because
There is.
everything that would be there is so short in that distance that it doesn't eclipse the moon.
Seriously? Come on, man.
so it's
Yeah,
called the
dude. Like,
Blots
how do you not
magnification
understand that?
theorem,
Okay, sorry.
like
I didn't
where
mean to interrupt.
celestial objects like look bigger or get magnified at the horizon. It's
Okay, so
BIOTS magnification theorem, and also like what I'm thinking is, you know how like the boats have like the bottom up obstruction. Well, sometimes they're floating over the water, but like whenever the bottom, is disappeared. Well, they've actually like you can replicate this with a little toy boat on a pond, like just because of the temperature gradients near the horizon, like vary, and so it could be a combination of those things. Because normally, like that's like a pretty rare event, right? Like for the moon to appear like cut off halfway like that in the horizon, like that's not really that common. So
the moon to come up over the horizon. I mean, that happens every single day, you know. But Tyler, hey, or Taylor. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Tyler. Taylor. Just think about it. Okay, so Taylor, think about this. Okay, imagine this. You were sitting down on your fucking Barca lounge or whatever. You're outside. You have a fire going, and you're looking at the horizon. And the moon is starting to rise right in front of you. It's beautiful too. It's fucking beautiful. You can see all the craters on the moon if you had a telescope. You know, why can't I see everything between me and the moon? Why can't I see that?
Tony, do you have a limit to your vision on the globe?
I have a limit to the moon.
Like
Why
the
can't I see the
distance of
shit
your
between
vision?
me
Do
and
you
the
have a
moon?
limit to the distance of your vision on the globe?
Yes, I have a limit to the moon.
What's
Why can't
that
I see
limit?
stuff in between the moon and me?
Y'all learn to answer these
I mean, I'm trying to be nice. You know, I'm trying to be like. I mean, I mean,
Left lane, you're robotic, brother.
Left lane, you're roboting
yeah,
real
you
bad.
are a
should
robot.
be
You
should
are a
be 1
robot.
degree. Okay.
And left lane, we don't need the white knighting. He's been asked this question like 6 times. If you have a limit
Yeah,
to the
he's on my
No,
side.
he's the
Yeah,
one
you can't
asking the
call someone a
questions.
white knight when he's on my side.
I already answered his question. Dude.
No,
Didn't
he's just
understand
white
it.
knighting. The question is, do you have a limit to your vision on the globe? And it's been asked like
You have a
6
limit.
times.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Left
Okay.
lane, you're
He asked
robotic,
me.
man.
He asked me that question. Do you have a limit to the moon? Why can I see a crater when it's rising up on the horizon? Why can I see a crater so crisp and clear, but not see everything in between that moon and me? That's what you guys have to deal with, and you can't. It just doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
but you can't always see that, can you? It depends on the atmospheric conditions of the day.
Bullshit. You can always see it unless there's a cloud in your way.
Yeah, you can't always see the moon big and magnified like you're
The
explaining.
moon.
That's a
Okay,
rare observation.
when you can though, when you see it rising up over the horizon, and you're sitting in your little fucking chair, you got a nice fire going, and you see the moon starting to rise above and you're trying to tell me that it's distorted? No, it's not. Why can't I see everything between me and that fucking moon? You don't.
Dude,
You
you don't know
can't.
what the moon is. Listen. We're not going to sit here and pretend
Oh,
we
you're
know
talking about
what the
magic
moon
now.
is. We don't know
I'm not
what type of
saying
light it.
magic.
You think it's reflected.
That
Listen,
was
Tony,
bullshit.
you don't need to clip me
Yo,
before I've answered.
hold on, dude. I'm gonna mute you for like 5 minutes because you just don't stop talking, dude.
You're right.
So you
I'm
got
only
we got one more
fucking
chance, dude. Now,
truth,
because I already gave you like 5 chances and you just won't stop.
good job, man. You're a really fucking good, nice person. Thank you for helping me.
All right, dude. Please, just
and everything.
relax. Dude. Just let Roots respond. We don't need the inflection. Just mute. Listen, just mute. Just mute yourself.
Tony, I'll
right
be
now.
quick. Tony, I'll be quick. All I wanted to say was we're not claiming we know what the moon is. We're not claiming we know what type of light it is. And we in general, we don't make claims about the sky. So if you're making assumptions that the moon is X distance away or is reflected sunlight, then you're still in your globe paradigm and you're not looking at this through any other lens but the heliocentric model.
I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like if I was to dumb myself down a little bit, I'd see what you're saying. But when I'm sitting in my chair looking at the horizon, I see the moon that's crisp and clear, and there's nothing in between it. That means there's nothing in between it because it's a fucking sphere.
That's okay.
It's really that simple.
It's not that simple. He just talked right through Roots. What Roots' point
No,
was.
it is that simple.
It's not that
You want
simple.
us to make claims. You want us to make claims we can't verify. We're not willing to.
don't
But what we do know,
necessarily
is where your geometric horizon is claimed to be, is where usually, without too much atmospheric distortion, is where we would expect things to disappear on a flat surface. So the idea of boats going over the horizon being evidence for a geometric curve is nonsense and is overlooking all of the elements of perspective and atmospheric conditions that can cause bottom-up obstruction.
Define geometric obstruction. Define it. Define the word geometric.
Hang on, real quick, for a point of moderation, Tony,
I
can
just
you?
asked him a question, man. Define
Yeah,
the
but
word
he just
geometric
made a.
obstruction.
Don't interrupt me now, but he just made a point. I want
No, he
to see if you're engaging in good faith, Tony. Can you tell
I am.
him what he just said to you?
That's why I asked him to define geometric obstruction, because I want to know what he thinks geometric obstruction means. Is that not right for me to ask? I
I
don't know
feel
what
like you just
geometric
heard the
obstruction is.
words geometric obstruction and you want him to
Define
define it
it
so you
for
can
me.
just don't interrupt me, man. We're giving you so many chances, man. Like it's so easy to just say, look, cool off for a day, we're gonna server mute you, peace out. We're not doing that. We're giving you
Yeah,
so many
quit
chances.
gaslighting him.
You're
Quit
doing it as I'm
gaslighting him,
saying it.
Galactrix.
Hey, I prefer to do
I
that.
question your
It's easy.
validity as a moderator.
Left lane, we're giving him so many chances to just speak to people
No,
like
you're not.
regular
No, you're not.
Now
There's no
you're
chances
doing it.
given
This
and
is
all that crap.
absurd.
Quit gaslighting.
It's not gaslighting. There's a real thing that's happening. People are trying to have a conversation and he's just talking through them. He's clipping them constantly. We can't have that. We don't want audio chaos. And then you're doing it as I'm saying he's doing it. Do you not see the absurdity in that, left lane?
We don't need the meta.
Yeah, but tomato.
Let's just get no. The thing is, bro, like he really is being interruptive, and his mic's shit, and it's hard to hear. And I don't want to mute him because I want to engage this conversation forward. And then we kick him, and it's going to be silent.
Right. That's my position. So can we just have a conversation where we're not interrupting people?
I mean, I'm happy
Yeah,
to. I don't know why he needs a definition for a geometric horizon. Everybody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about the furthest point you can see before the Earth's surface apparently drops away. They were talking about a physical obstruction and a physical location. So now, what's the problem?
yeah, that's what I was saying about it being that simple. On the globe model, as far
But he
as
he
the
used, and
moon setting
I
or
know
the
what.
moon rising, and I'm not finished. But
Sorry.
things are where there's, the moon's over there, and the Earth is here, and the sun is over there. We don't make up a bunch of visual effects and bullcrap. Barring refraction down on the horizon, everything's where it's supposed to be, and Earth is a planet that rotates. That's all there is to the globe model.
So can I share with you guys? I'm gonna put it in the chat underneath. You can look at the moonrise, and in the videos I'm able to see, all of them are heavily distorted at the horizon. So I feel like at least there's something optical going on. And if you have a video that's not, just link it. But I'm gonna show you guys this picture. Okay, I'll put.
Do we at least agree there's multiple reasons why things disappear from bottom up on a flat or curved surface? Because then,
Obviously.
if you accept that, then it is the globe's claim that the horizon is a physical location. That is the only thing that has left that needs to be verified. So we can all agree what the horizon is. Now there's an extra claim. It is also a physical location. So you have a burden of proof to prove that we have a drop behind the furthest point we can see.
So what's actually interesting about the moon rising is that we can actually see the structure better than the sun, because the sun's so bright it's like hard to differentiate it. But I would imagine the effect would be the same with the sun. But yeah, it looks crazy. There's like a line going through it. It looks like a mushroom. Like, just look at the picture I posted.
Obviously, we can't agree. I mean, because I don't agree with you guys. I mean, like, we can't agree. I mean, I don't know what. Thank you for unmuting me. I'm sorry that I interrupted you guys. I'm sorry that I'm a little like animated right now. I'm a little aggressive right now. I apologize completely. You guys, I respect all you guys. Like, I'm not, and women.
Nice. Those photos there. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure which chat I posted it in.
Yeah, I tagged you in the chat. You should post it. So it's the one that's
Oh.
like 2 above live stream, 1 text, a little green dot. That's usually where people post stuff for the.
Yeah, she put it in VC text.
Yeah, I reposted it and tagged her.
Yeah, that moon looks a little bit distorted, I gotta say. A little bit, you know, not like a ton, but looks like a
Yeah,
moon
looks like
pie.
Big Mac.
You know, like a moon pie? That's what it looks.
Yeah, it looks like a Big Mac.
Raiders are sesame seeds. You guys are dumb. My favorite part was when Tony was like, yo, yeah, if I just dumb myself down, I'll totally get.
What happened? He got booted? Oh no, he's still. Oh.
Yeah, if I just dumb myself down, I'll totally get. My favorite part was when Tony was like, yo, yeah, if I just dumb myself down, I'll totally get.
What happened? He got booted? Oh no, he's still. Oh. Nope.
They've still got 1 foot in the heliocentric model, and that's where they're not able to step outside of their own situation and imagine anything different than the moon being reflected sunlight, thousands of miles away. So now they ask all these malformed questions, half in the heliocentric model.
You know what I noticed is they don't understand what an internal critique is, and I don't know if they even know how to properly do an internal critique of. That's like, I think that's a big part of the problem is these guys aren't like people who normally debate or who practice debate or study philosophy or study worldviews. They just are like, yo, I have a worldview. I love this worldview. And I didn't even know there were other worldviews, so I don't know how to step into your worldview to internally critique it. So I'm just going to sit here and defend my worldview.
Yeah, I mean, that's like
Hang
you
on.
need that for a debate. You need to be able to steel man the other position. Otherwise, you're just shadowboxing apparitions again.
It's the same. Is it possible that some people just understand optics and perspective a little better? You somehow misunderstood something along the way?
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, what y'all are saying basically is if the moon is like 3,000 miles when it's above our head, you can't illustrate or demonstrate in any way how that moon gets down to and below the horizon at distance with perspective or anything else.
Basically, that's what we're saying, Lovely.
Tony's gone, yo. He just dropped out by himself.
It looked like he dropped by himself.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, everything converges at, your eye level. And so, like, I know that if you're looking down, like, a long hallway, I know the roof is not getting lower, but it's just gonna appear to, right, as it moves away from me. And so if you just apply that to anything in the sky, you'll have that same effect.
Yeah, but for a 3,000-mile elevation moon, you have to move like 2 million miles away from it to get it to even approach the horizon.
Who claimed the 3,000-mile elevation moon?
And if you understand perspective well enough, then you could easily understand that the moon is in an apparent position based on the observer's location and the limitations of view. How do you know the moon's?
Yeah, that is what perspective is.
Position?
There's 3 people talking at once.
Yeah, as the moon gets closer to the horizon, it should also, if it's only due to perspective, it should also get smaller in angular size. Same as the ceiling moving down, you can see the walls get closer as well.
No, nothing should do anything that you say. Not at all.
Oh, fuck, it's Denmark. God damn it.
Hey, I didn't know we were doing a cuss contest. I didn't know we were having a cussing contest. I thought we were talking about the moon.
I always enjoy when you join the conversation, Denmark.
Yeah, so it turns into you cussing. So, Left Lane, do you know what the moon is or how far it is, or can you prove it? Or are we just talking about what you feel?
Oh, yeah, it's a big round rock appears to be orbiting the Earth, and we can bounce radar, we can bounce lasers off. So I'm pretty confident in this distance.
So if I bounce a ball off you, that means I know where you're at. Okay, I
But
got you, brother. You're doing real good math here. Don't talk over me. I only said one
uh,
word, brother. Slow down.
well, it diverted. And what I was going to say was, as far as talking about the moon changing size, and I hear flat earthers say it does change size. We're not talking about pixels changing size. We're talking about like 75% smaller is what it should be. It should shrink down to like an eighth of a degree of angle.
Made the
Not, so it doesn't really perceptually change size.
You made the moon. You're a bad man, Jeremy. I didn't know you made it. Left Lane made the moon. He's the only one who knows all about it, guys.
I mean,
What's the moon
we would
rock?
have to know the size of the moon, right? The surface area and the distance to be able to calculate how much it should change in angular size. And we don't have those. We
But
don't
we
know
do.
how far it is. Flat earthers have never claimed to know how far the moon is or how big the
He doesn't even know what a moon rock is. He said it's a rock. What kind of rock? And go get one. Go get the
Well,
rock you think the moon's like.
I'll take that back. Some say it's around 3,500, like the Zetetic astronomy. But even then, that's like a guess, dude. You haven't
It's all
verified
a
that.
guess, brother. Yeah, it's all a guess to the best degree, to the 33rd degree.
3,300 miles away.
So we know that atmospheric lensing is a thing, and we know that there's water in the atmosphere, whether it's day or night, and we know that the moon isn't always as big as being made out here. Some days the moon can be smaller from the same location. So wouldn't it make sense that there is an element of lensing going on with the moon on some days, on some nights even? So the water in the atmosphere is dependent on temperature, humidity. So that would make sense why some days, especially in the summer, the moon can look bigger.
I don't think anyone's denying that premise. The only rebuttals so far have been like not taking what you're saying, just saying another thing, just a separate claim. So like if the moon's 3,000 miles away, we get way bigger when it reaches the horizon. I don't think anyone disagrees with what you just said, Reese.
But I think that's explaining what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, oh, why are we seeing the moon so big? And the moon would have to be this distance. Well, that's easy if you don't take into account lensing or magnification.
Yep.
And there are particular terms when it's magnification of the moon, where it's specifically about the moon. It's called a moon illusion. So
That's
why
debated too.
So why are they pretending that this can't happen on a flat Earth?
Well, through the lens of your eye, and then the medium, and then the temperature of the medium, and the attribute of things can do weird, funny stuff. They can focus in, look smaller. They can magnify as they get far away. So yeah, if you ignore
It can
that, then
blur
you
the
don't even know
moon.
what you're doing.
Yeah, it can make the moon look blurrier or clearer.
100%.
Yo, not to change the topic too much, but I want to ask Tor something about Espinoza. He sent me a message last night. Tor, you there?
Yo, what up?
What
did you hear your shout out yesterday from Witsit, bro?
What are you talking about?
You got a big shout out on Witsit's stream last night.
For what?
He said you told him a couple years ago there could be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
So did I. I even drew the path on the map, but I ain't doing it no more. So people got to start thinking for themselves and draw their own sun path.
That's what's up, man. And I miss Witsit, dude. He hasn't been in here. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know if he got some animosity or what, but it's unfortunate.
You should check out the stream. It was cool. But yeah, what about Spinoza?
No, so what's this thing about Spinoza? You sent me a whole bunch of things about him. I thought he was a pantheist.
That's what they want. Yeah, that's what they want.
So I didn't know much about him, but I before you sent me information about him, I was already aware of him. I remember talking to Kosho, because Kosho, he likes his understanding of the universe and God. And even Kosho claims that he's a pantheist, but maybe we're wrong. We're mischaracterizing Spinoza all this time.
Well, we didn't do it. What happened is there's been other scholars and other philosophers that painted that picture of him. You know what I mean? Just like I could paint the picture of you're a Judaizer. You know what I mean? I'll just spread that propaganda now, and then everyone in the future will be like, oh yeah, Lion, that dude was a Judaizer. You know what I mean? But really, what ended up showing is, if you read his arguments, that's what I took the approach with Spinoza. Like, I was like, I'm just going to act like I have no idea what this guy's position is. And when you read his arguments, they are not pantheistic arguments at all. And I had no idea about this word panentheism, which is a lot of what, when I talk about the creation and when we talk about it, is kind of what we're trying to convey. That in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. So there's like this whole idea that, Yah obviously has a portion of himself in all parts of everything, but he is separate from everything, and he is the ultimate. And he exists not only within time and space and in our reality, but also extends beyond that as well.
Awesome. So would you call it panentheism? Because I have never heard of that either till you sent me that.
Sounds like
Panen.
You know how they got all the cell phones and they can have different AI talk for all the different things? Implement that for souls and people being born or unalived. So like when one dies out, the next one pops up, because that energy and that information, like, it has to go to something. And then when it pops into the next, it's that. So like your dad, somebody else's dad, and her mom, and whatever, they're all like who they are. But some kind of thing is like bringing them. It's weird.
Wait, Tori, did you just say that you're claiming panentheism for yourself?
I don't personally see anything that contradicts the scriptures in it.
I like that. I mean, I would consider myself a panentheist too, but I wasn't aware of that term till last night.
So what? Hold on, I'm not aware of that term. What is a panentheist?
There's a nuance between pantheism and panentheism. I'm not exactly familiar with it. I'm still learning, so maybe Tori can do that. I know what pantheism is.
I can read it off for you on that I sent you, just so Roots, you get an idea too. Panentheism is the belief that the divine intersects every part of the universe and also extends beyond space and time.
Yeah, not that this necessarily means anything, but like panentheism is generally considered by the Christian church to be a heresy.
Where? By who? And you know how little I agree with church fathers on a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
well, like I said to you the other day, like my entire understanding of it is based off a conversation with Matt Slick, who's just like a, relatively famous Christian apologist, and like the idea is that it more or less puts the universe to some degree on the same level as God.
Not at all. The divine intersects every part of the universe and also extends beyond space and time. So that puts the divine way above the universe because it's beyond it.
And it's not, yeah, so pantheism is basically that nature is God, that the universe is God. And some will say, like the Stoics will say that he's unknowable, unfathomable, ineffable, he has no gender, he's not personable, it's just nature. It is what it is. But panentheism doesn't claim that the universe is God or that nature is God, but that God extends beyond that.
Exactly.
It intersects with all living things, all reality, but it's not reality itself. God is not reality itself.
No, it's saying that the universe and nature is God, right? So all of us are God, but also God is something beyond us as well.
Nope, that's incorrect.
No,
Because Spinoza
that's
was
not it.
literally, Spinoza was accused of that view that you just accused him of, Osco. And it says, as to the view of certain people that I identify God with nature, taken as kind of a mass or corporeal matter, they are quite mistaken. For Spinoza, our universe is a mode of under two attributes of thought and extension. And God has infinitely many other attributes which are not present in our world.
Yeah, that's
Like the
exactly what I just
unknowable.
said. Like he is everything, but also he's something beyond it as well.
No. See, there's a nuance here that you have to focus on that you're ignoring, right? It's not that God is nature or the universe itself. It's that God does intersect with nature, right? He's the reason why we're all alive and he sustains us perpetually right now, our breath. But he's not the creation. He's the creator. He's apart from it. But he does intersect through all of it.
Yeah, but to be panentheistic, if that's a word, panentheistic, right? Like you have to, at least in my understanding, believe that like the universe is not created by God, like God just extends beyond it.
No, that wouldn't be the case. The universe, you mean maybe like the universal laws or something?
Yeah, like
Is
I'm
what you're
saying
trying to
universe,
say.
like capital U universe, like not like the physical universe, just existence itself.
Okay, in panentheism, the universal spirit is present everywhere, which at the same time transcends all things that are created. Whilst pantheism asserts that all is God, panentheism claims that God is greater than the universe.
Yeah, but not the creator of the universe.
Yes, it is the creator of the universe. This is the argument. I'll give it to you right here. I just read this a second ago. What dang, where is it? Okay. Deus sive natura. Deus sive natura, God or nature. Spinoza did not mean to say that God and nature are interchangeable terms, but rather that God's transcendence was attested by his infinitely many attributes, and that two attributes known by humans, namely thought and extension, signified God's immanence. And then he also goes on to say, without God, you can't have the universe.
Information.
So yeah, exactly. You have to have God in order to have creation in the first place.
So
That's
are you?
I mean,
everything.
I sent you the arguments. You
First
can,
law, yeah, first law
I
of
know they're a
motion.
lot. They're long arguments. I understand that, but when you read through the whole argument, you would never think this guy is a pantheist ever. So whoever did that on purpose for some reason.
Oh, so but all you're saying is panentheism is just the standard Christian worldview, then, where God created everything and God, everything is sustained by God. That's all you're saying.
Well, I mean, why would there be someone else like who was it that you said, Tom Rabbit? Well, who was it?
Who was it
You
that
said
what?
you said another guy demonized this thought process.
No, Matt
Matt Slick.
Slick.
Yeah, isn't he a Calvinist?
Yes.
Yeah. So Calvinism isn't biblical.
Yeah, well, I'm not really interested in the meta or what like one scholar thought another
I'm
philosopher
just
thought of or something like that. What I'm asking is just like logically, coherently, what is the difference between panentheism and the standard Christian worldview? Essentially, what you're saying is that panentheism is the standard Christian worldview.
There is no, this is
Yeah.
the issue. There's no standard
Don't
Christian
say it, yeah.
worldview. That's the problem with the Christian worldview is there's too many different Christian worldviews. You got Baptist, you got Catholic, you got all these different ones. But to what you are saying, I would agree. This panentheism would line up more if you just go sola scriptura.
Okay, so panentheism is, in your view, that God sustains everything, but God also exists outside of everything, and that's what the proper Christian worldview is.
Yeah,
I
because
believe
it's
so.
even in Colossians 3:11, there is only Christ, he is everything and he is in everything. And then it says, if I were to write that today, people would call me a pantheist, the universe is God. Whereas I am really a panentheist. God lies within all things but also transcends them. This is what both Jesus and Paul taught.
It's very similar though.
I've
It's
actually
not.
explained this before, where he's the creator and he created the creation, but he's not the creation. This is the difference. Though he sustains the creation, and we're all tethered to him through the Spirit, right? Literally, all things are sustained through Christ, through the Spirit. But he's not the creation itself. That's the
Yeah,
nuance that people lose and become
I think you're
pantheists. They're like
rejecting
a lot of the guy, the
Spinoza.
Gaia and the nature worship, like the nature worship, they act like nature's God, and that's erroneous.
You're rejecting Spinoza's God.
Well, I was under the assumption that Spinoza was a pantheist. Come to find out, people are mischaracterizing him this whole time, and he's
Only a
actually
tiny
on
bit.
board with the Christian doctrine of
But he's
Colossians.
trying to make a middle ground, right, where God is in nature, so it's nearly the same as being nature.
No, you
No, there's a
can't have
nuance
nature
there. You
without
can't ignore the
God.
nuance.
You
Right?
can't
There's
have
a
nature
Yeah,
without God.
He's put God
the
as a
the
cause as well.
you can't worship the creation, bro. When there's a creator that created the creation, and there's a delineation there that you can't ignore, and that's what you're doing. You're ignoring the
But he's
nuance.
trying to say God's all around you in the air, so you can worship the air a bit.
No, that's not what's going on here. Please stop twisting the words. Don't do that. That's not
God
even
is
correct.
in
What you're
nature.
describing is called pantheism. This
No,
is
no, no. I
panentheism.
just read the
You just
distinction.
described
I agree
pantheism. You
there's a great
literally just
distinction.
described pantheism. You said, because God is in the air, therefore I could worship the air. That's pantheism, not panentheism. Panentheism does not say that.
Yes, but Spinoza is suggesting that God is always there around you, right? Which is leading into the idea that you could see him and feel him around you.
Without him, seeing and feeling wouldn't exist.
Yeah, sure. You can add that on
Yes.
Spinoza.
So
I'm
then
sure Spinoza talks about cause as well.
would you worship the things you see and feel and not the thing that gives you the ability to see and feel?
Because God's in it.
No, that doesn't comport. That doesn't
No, no,
even
you
That's what
logically follow.
panentheism is,
that's the
dude.
logic.
No, it is not a worship of the creation.
No,
That's
I'm
not what
saying you could if you
panentheism
wanted.
is. Why are you saying that? You guys
Not
don't even
wor-
know what it is. I just had to
Spinoza's
literally
opening it
read the
up.
definition and now you're both saying you know more about panentheism than me.
You said you just heard
No,
about it,
I'm
but
not.
that's besides the point. Like, we're not saying that you have to worship nature. We're just saying that God is in nature.
Right. And
No,
but
God is the necessary antecedent to nature.
Yeah, you're adding like your sort of philosophical
Can you find
interpretation on top
Spinoza
of that
saying
idea.
that?
Well, kind of you too, though. You're doing that too a little in a way.
Have
Like
you got
you're both
Spinoza
wrong and you're
saying
both
you
right.
need God
You know what I mean?
first?
bro, the point that we're trying to make here is that nature is not God, dude. That's it.
Yeah, I get.
That's the
Obviously, I
Yeah,
difference
that's
get
between
fair.
pantheism
Justin's
and panentheism.
position on it.
So it'd be unintelligible nature, like um, um, evolution, first intelligence, which is God. I mean, in the
Even
idea.
though his invisible qualities are made manifest in nature, right? And there's characteristics of nature that like the complexity, the fine-tuning argument, all of these things, right? Nature is not God, bro. And
This
even though we're tethered to God through the Spirit, and nature's tethered to the Spirit, nature's not God.
This is the reason we bring this up is because of the conversation I had with, and we brought it up with Tanks the other day. What is material and what is immaterial, or what is physical and what is metaphysical?
Experience.
What I'm putting forth is there is no materialistic, naturalistic worldview that can comport and work in a world that depends in order to have the material on God. Therefore, it makes everything in the world, including you, supernatural, but not in the sense that you are God. It means that you're not going to be able to do your natural physics, your materialistic ideas of atoms and come to proper conclusions. You're building everything off a false premise that there is a separation between the material and the immaterial. There is no separation.
Infrastructure.
That's
What
different
about
to
the word
Spinoza,
structure?
Tor. I understand you. That's what you think.
It's
How is that
infrastructure.
different? If everything material depends on God to exist,
But
how
have you
can
got
you
him saying
therefore
that?
then say that material is like different from being immaterial?
Can you cite him saying that there has to be a God first before nature?
Intelligence, brother. Has to be intelligence. The
But
idea of God is intelligence.
his
Well,
The
whole
that's
point,
idea of
one of the
nature
his
is
whole
just
attributes.
point is that nature's the only evidence of
That's
God.
one
So
of
that
the
is God.
attributes. That's the one of the attributes. I agree with Demok. That it's thought and extension. Those are two attributes that we can perceive. However, there are many other attributes, including love, including joy. There's tons of different emotional things that can't be quantified.
Sadness, right? The other day I brought up how God can cries, right? The Creator has cried, and I have multiple verses to substantiate that in both the Old and New Testament. And I don't know if Gio's at the mic, but Gio was like appalled that I would believe that God could even cry, that he could even have emotions. Like that's not even remotely close in his worldview.
So
Hey
that's
Don,
like
did you
a
see my presentation yesterday? Basically, I gave a case for intelligent design through
I'm
science.
sorry, I didn't.
I
I don't
saw
really
that.
watch
Yeah, I
presentations.
saw that, Taylor. Good job.
so
Yeah.
You
that
like
Well,
it?
I'm about halfway through. Yeah,
Okay.
really good, really informative.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said my name.
so that's an interesting concept, Lion. I'm just confused on what the conversation is. Is the conversation what you guys think God is, or is the conversation what Spinoza's God is?
Well,
Yeah, they got a bit
originally,
mixed.
me and Tor were going back and forth on what Spinoza actually believed, not what people said he believed, and mischaracterize him. Because I thought for this whole time I thought he was a pantheist. Kosho
Do you
thinks
know
he's a
what? Do
pantheist.
you know what Spinoza's? Do you know what Spinoza's background is educationally?
Probably a
It's
Christian,
a
is he?
Jew.
I don't know.
He was a Jew.
He's a Jew.
He was
Yeah,
a
he was a Jew.
he
But I don't know
studied
if he
the
was
Torah.
religious.
Can I just
He
add to
studied the Torah and the
your two?
Talmud. He would be considered a mystic.
Let me add to your guys' point. On the Wikipedia, it actually translates it wrong as God is nature. It's actually written in wrong. So
No, it doesn't say that.
no,
Let's
I'm
That's
try to go
saying
one
it's
at
pantheism.
a time,
wrong.
though, guys.
Even
There's a lot of
Wikipedia's
clipping
got it
going
wrong.
on, and mainly from you, Don. So let's just try to go one at a time. Go ahead, Don.
I want to add to the Spinoza point because I find it interesting that he's suggesting a new type of God.
It's not a new type of God.
On
What are you
Wikipedia,
talking about?
they get it wrong. So you guys are right that it's been
Where? I'm
misinterpreted.
on the Wikipedia page. What sentence? What line?
It says God is nature, not God or nature.
Where?
I just looked. I don't know what line.
Yeah, I'm not
And
surprised,
That's
bro. And
agreeing with your
I
point,
think he's
Tora, so that should be
Tora. I
good.
think he's right though, because I remember looking into the Wikipedia page of Espinoza, and it did say that he was a pantheist. I'm pretty sure that he believed nature was God.
He's not even
No,
reading the rest of it. It says Spinoza wrote Deus sive natura, God or nature. Spinoza did not mean to say that God and nature are
you're
interchangeable
still
terms.
misunderstanding me. I'm agreeing with you guys. It's been
I know they're
misunderstood.
both right
I'm
and
saying
wrong.
it's still different to Christianity.
What is nature? You know,
Can you explain to me how it's different from Christianity if the verse from Colossians that I said comes from the scripture? Colossians 3:11, there is only Christ, he is everything and he is in everything. How does that disagree with that?
So it says that they were worshiping things that were created versus the creator. And I could get a verse for that, but basically you shouldn't worship the creation. This was referencing people looking at the stars and stuff. And it says they were, weren't worshiping the creator, but things that were created. And Dawn, if you get a chance to finish that, I actually gave a positive case for intelligent design, like positive evidence for it, instead of just disproving their theory.
Yeah, that would be
I do
pantheism.
think intelligent design's true.
Hey, Taylor, did you give that presentation here or another server?
I did it on Ether Cosmology's YouTube.
It'd be cool if you maybe sometime this week or next week or whenever you get a chance, if you could do it here, because I'd love to
Oh,
see
I'd
it.
love to. That'd be cool. Can you
Post
So we
like
could
post the
set
live
up
link
an
as
stream
event.
well.
here? Like you basically
Yeah,
have a
what's
stage
a
or
good
something?
day? Yeah, we could set up an event.
Cool.
Also,
Pick a time and a day that works for you, and if you contact Geo, he'll definitely separate some time for you. We can make it a staged event too. So
A Bio Part 2, this time infinite time considered, and blown out.
Yeah, Taylor, I
Was it?
actually learned a lot from your presentation about single-celled organisms. I had no idea of the complexity, and it just shows you that if you just Google this and look at the top searches, you only get half the story. So well done.
Yeah, whenever they actually came up with the theory, they just thought it was like a ball of jelly, like a nucleus and then a cell membrane. That's about it. But now that we
Yeah.
know we have they didn't even know the structure of DNA. They didn't even know about the central dogma or anything, or any of the regulation needed when they said, "Oh yeah, life can just spontaneously form."
Yeah, I think you made the case that a single-celled organism is extremely complex, and I would have just bought, if somebody had just thrown at me, "Are single-celled organisms very simple life forms?" would have taken that on face value. But after listening to that, I've realized just how complex, even what we call a single-cell organism is.
Yeah,
To
but
that
I'm not
insect.
trying to argue by complexity. Like I wasn't trying to say because it's complex, that means it's intelligently designed, right? Because that's like apparently like a fallacy, like appealing
Yeah.
to complexity or something. But what I was saying is through the complexity, the nature and the environment that it got created in would have to take up all of that complexity. So instead of having, compartments in the cell to separate things, nature would have to compartmentalize them, which makes it extremely difficult.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really good argument. I was sold at the complexity, but you're right. That is a fallacy, and yeah, like I said, I'm only halfway through, and I'm already impressed.
Was
Well,
there
yeah,
any
but how can you
resistance?
have a complex thing without Like, how can you have complexity without intelligence? Like, what would be?
But does complexity mean impossible?
No, that's what I just said. Like I'm not saying that because it's complex. But what I am saying is that in the cell, you'd have to have these things separated. And this is why like the different parts of the cell would have to be created in completely different environments. Like the RNA and the DNA, they say had to come from shallow pools because they need the UV light, but it couldn't have had the alkalinity and the temperatures that amino acids and proteins would have needed. So they're saying amino acids and proteins would have had to form in like an alkaline vent. However, in the shallow pool would be where DNA and RNA would form, and they're incompatible. And then there's parts of the RNA that would react with the amino acids. So if they were in nature without any compartmentalization, they would have just destroyed each other.
What incompatible is that?
Separated. They're separated by what you
So the
are.
ribose sugar and the amino acids react with each other in the
Yeah,
Maillard reaction. And so they
you're,
couldn't have been just next to each other, but they would have had to be next to each other. So it's
they
crazy.
are. They are your body. It's all liquid fraction in a way, right? From the seed to whatever else, from the rain when it fills it up, and when all the rain goes to the soil, filters stuff, and it grows. Like when we are liquid and we get like printed out, but we're separated but connect. So you're inside of a liquid, getting printed out through a liquid, solidifying in the liquid and becoming what you are in like your mom or dad. I'm not trying to be funny, but it's literally exactly what you just explained. Liquid in liquid, separated from the liquid, 1,000,000%. We're separated by the thing that's a filter of that liquid. Everything's a filter of the other thing. Everything's a filter of its own information. Information is a filter of itself. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then basically like the DNA code, like what I kind of presented at the end was like how the DNA code has like this these integrated circuits in it and this informational hierarchy for things like gene expression. And so we only see this types of information encoded by an intelligent designer in nature. Because random number generators, from what we've seen with them, they don't code things. And they don't code things that have integrated circuits. You know what I mean? So like a computer code has like all this like integration and like highly specific complex information. And we see that in intelligent designers. So I don't know, it's kind of like positive evidence for intelligent design. And then like the irreducible complexity of some of the machinery in the cell. Like how would it have evolved if without one part it didn't function? And even Darwin said in his own theory, if we find anything that cannot come about through subsequent events, then basically it couldn't have evolved. Like if one part of something was missing and it could not work, then it couldn't have evolved because it would have had no purpose to move towards that function. And like with like a rotary motor, which is what we see in the flagellum, like if parts of that were missing, it wouldn't work at all. So it's just like to say that it evolved would be pointless. Darwin said it himself that his theory would fall apart. And we have found those things, but they still, teach the theory.
What a great point. What a brilliant point. And because some of these, small, tiny little microorganisms have some of the most complex, moving parts to them with absolutely, I don't know how you can say that, they were the basis of evolution when they have mechanisms way more complex than we have. But I want to ask you, Taylor, about epigenetics and gene expression, because obviously you know a lot about this. I'm under the influence that that's where evolution will start to head towards as we move away from, the unprovable Darwin theory of natural selection. Do you feel that epigenetics and gene expression will eventually sort of be where all the evolutionists sort of lead to and jump ship to? Because it seems to me like evolution by natural selection is starting to slow down academically. So where do you think they're going?
So evolution by natural selection is basically saying that through these random mutations over time, they're going to gain a new function. And I just want to mention that through our evolution research, what we see is like with bacteria becoming bacteria resistant, they actually lose functions. They actually turn off proteins. Or they can have epigenetic modifications and start upregulating things like pumps that would pump out these antibiotics. So epigenetics is basically like you're not changing, like according to the theory, right? You're not changing the DNA. You're just expressing certain parts of it. So DNA is wrapped around something called histones. And whenever you have these histones and they get methylated, right? There's like a molecule that attaches to them. They don't unwind. Therefore, you cannot access that DNA. However, if they get acetylated, then they do unwind and these genes are expressed. So a lot of things that we have, a lot of information is stored in us. And then we can just turn on and off these genes. They're not actually evolving. So like in
Right.
many cases, they're not gaining new functions. They're just regulating what they already have.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's provable. That's where there seems to be more breakthroughs. Do you think that evolution will fall down and they'll, need to go towards gene expression because we don't have that, natural selection mechanism?
Yeah, and there's something called orphan genes, like this new information that we look through all the different species and we see these orphan genes. We don't know where they came from. It's like new information. But epigenetics can express things and allow bacteria and other things to adapt to their environment just by turning on and off genes. But like we don't see like this complex, specific new information being built by anything other than an intelligent designer. And in evolution, we're just assuming that these random mutations led to complex, specific information. And that's just not what we see in nature.
Exactly.
So basically, the creator, when he created the first prototypes of all species, of all kinds of animals, he created them in such a way that they were adaptable to their environment. That because of certain triggers that we're still trying to understand how these triggers manifest in the genome. Because like, how does a domesticated pig become a feral hog in 6 months? Right? Nobody understands that yet. But clearly the information's already there, present and locked up in the genome, just not expressed, but something triggers the genes to become expressed even after the animal is already alive and kicking. Like what's going on, dude? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lab frame experiment. There's many lab experiments, but there's a lab frame experiment with a rat that was brown and small. I can't remember the type of rat. It was or a mouse, a small brown mouse, and through diet and through environment, they had managed to breed this rat into a big fat yellow, like, rat looking thing from a mouse to a rat. It looked completely different. It was much bigger and it was bright yellow, and they had the exact same genetic code. This is what's provable in a lab frame.
Roots, if
So
that
with
thing
the
then had kids, would it have those new expressions or would it have its original expressions?
Yes, so if you genetically modify and so basically how things become like fluorescent like that is if you want it to be in like the whole organism, right? You're gonna look into their DNA, right? You're gonna find the part of the DNA that expresses whatever protein you're trying to express. Like for example, like I'm working with the EB1 protein in microtubules. And then you're gonna like insert using like gene modification tools. You're gonna insert a fluorescent protein right there next to the protein that you want to be fluoresced. And so every single time that that protein gets expressed and made, they also form a fluorescent protein next to it. So this is why, like, and that will pass down through the generations. If you like in a mammal, you would have to modify that in like the original like ovum or whatever, like the first cell, right? And so then the mouse would grow and be fluorescent, and then it could pass that down to its offspring. And so like I work with an organism that has EB1 fluorescent, and every single generation has the expression, and I don't have to add anything to it. I don't have to add any like fluorescent stuff. Like it's just naturally fluorescent in that one location. So it's just modifying DNA, which I don't actually agree with, and I'm not ever going to participate in because I don't believe in that.
So yeah,
You
yeah,
showed
yeah.
that.
You do pass all these down. Sorry, go ahead,
I was
Galatron.
gonna say when you showed that massive diagram that I said you should make a wallpaper of one of your rooms, the complexity of that, and that's what you need at the start. The complexity of that is far more complex than like a B-52 Strato Fortress. This gigantic jet. So to say that this gigantic jet or something more complex could form in nature, or Rushmore could just form in nature, is absurd. It is statistically impossible.
Yeah, that's where you get into irreducible complexity, where any part of that organism or that jet is indispensable. The jet could not continue without it. The organism could not continue without it.
Right,
Whether it's
and
the lipid membrane or the nucleus or whatever. Go ahead.
you need at least the entire jet because the complexity of these cells are way more designed than these jets. So to say that that's a product of random cosmic coincidence via a lightning bolt striking ooze that lie next to a volcano, it just gets to such special pleading and appeal to possibility that the argument against it is inherently fallacious.
It's self-defeating. Mutations cause cancer, right? Mutations is detrimental to life and the progression of life. The idea that random mutations would help an animal succeed or a species succeed, dude, is something that I don't know how they convince the scientific community to believe in for so long.
Right, well it's just the philosophical bias that if there is a creator, then, we're immodest. But it's worse than that. It's way worse than their argument. Like their argument is bad in its best form.
And I've heard it say too, that like white people, the reason that our pigmentation or lack of pigmentation is a mutation. And I refuse to believe that. So, vice versa, that black people are, it's mutation. I refuse to believe that. I think that just like all the different variety of dogs that we have on the earth today, they all had one common ancestor, and that variety of gene expression was locked up in the DNA as a potential from the beginning, from the first dog,
Absolutely.
Well, there's new studies that say the first human ancestor could have came from Europe and not Africa.
Halfway where? Halfway where?
From where?
From
Somebody's hot
Europe
mic.
and not Africa.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they came from the Fertile Crescent, the cradle of civilization. At least since the Great Deluge, and then before that, I mean, in my opinion, I think it would be closer to the Himalayas of the Philippines. That's just from my own research.
Well, I'm just saying the official scientism paradigm. They're coming out with studies about human and ape ancestors arising in Europe and not Africa. So even in their paradigm, the whole everyone came from Africa and then white people, slowly lost their melanin through evolution or through mutation. That's not even accepted anymore. That's still in refutation.
Word. Yeah. What's up?
And if you guys want to look into that, just type in first human on Earth, Europe, Africa, and then you'll see it's there's a Live
They,
Science article about it. There's
someone's hot micing, dude. Hold on. Who's?
article about it.
I can't.
It's John.
Who
I
is
think it
that,
might be
dude?
John.
That means there's a local law in place.
It's John and Lush.
Lush, you mute. Yo, can you mute, please? I don't know. I'm just gonna move you, bro. I'll mute you. Let me see. All right. There you go, dude. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's two articles that are super easy to find. It's in the main scientism paradigm, where they say that it's Europe, not Africa.
What's up? And another thing is they'll say that blue eyes is also a genetic mutation, like it's just a random thing. What do you think about that?
I think
Or
that
anybody
in
for
the
that matter?
scientism paradigm, everything is random cosmic coincidence that they can't explain. Just every time, right?
Right.
But they affirm the consequence. So if first man from Africa, then how blue eyes must be mutation, which is appeal to possibility, affirming the consequent. It's just they have their conclusion before their premise. They're counting ducks before they got any ducks.